Fancy.
Every single time you do it, you just get deeper and deeper.
I get into it.
What really sucks is opening a restaurant. It really sucks. If you've never done it before, it's a shit show.
Don't do it.
It's a shit show. Let me just that's the end of the episode. It's a shit show. It's really simple. As far as the front of house goes, you're learning food and drinks from a menu you've never seen before. You're unfamiliar with your surroundings. And by that, I mean like your literal surroundings, your physical surroundings. You don't know the layout of the building. You don't know where any of the silverware goes, any of the plates go, any of the glasses go. And you might start to learn those things that become second nature. And then all of a sudden they'll be like, hey, listen, I know you guys spent a week or two learning everything, but none of that is the same anymore. Now it's all different. Now all those things go somewhere else. And you're unfamiliar with the people you work with. You're working with strangers. I mean, it's a small industry. You might, oh, yo, what's up? We used to work at this place together. You might one or two people, but the majority of the people you're working with are strangers. And the thing about restaurant openings is there's always a curveball. It's like either it opens way later than it was supposed to. So if you quit your job and your only job is that new restaurant, you're making pennies. You're making dog shit for money. So that could be stressful. Or on the flip side, the restaurant will open up sooner than it's supposed to. So you have even less time to become accustomed to the menu and to the people. And again, that could be stressful too, because all of a sudden it's friends and family and you're thrown to the fucking lions and you have to, fend for yourself. And even for an experienced server, that can be difficult to deal with. So that's only half the story. As you could imagine, right? Restaurants are broken up majorly into two parts, front of house and back house. So for the front of house, that's my perspective because that's what I know. So there's a whole other side to this. And I don't know any of it because I've only ever been front of house. So I'd like to learn more about it. So let's go.
Let's do it. Welcome to FancyBread. I'm Adrian.
I'm Ed.
And today we're joined by a veteran of 15 years in the restaurant industry, Chef Cepe, or Eucepe Puntriano. And in order to prepare for today, in order to tell this story of how we properly open a restaurant or prepare for that, I did a little research. So I decided to watch a movie that would help me figure out how to properly assemble a team and do something that everyone would think impossible. And that movie was Ocean's 11. And I like to think that at the very beginning of the movie, when they show the main character played by
George Clooney.
Thank you very much.
I see you really, really paid attention to the movie.
Hey, listen, we all have a roles to play, sir.
I was honest. I said bits and parts.
Thank you. I like to think that at the very beginning, because this is the character who has the want and the need, and what he wants to do is he wants to get his lady back. In order for him to do so, he feels that he needs to do the heist of a century. And for a business owner or a restaurateur, that would be that point where this person says to himself, I want to build a restaurant for whatever reason, and I want to set it up.
Okay.
And from that point on, this person sets to find the team and gets the deed done. And for this year, now that we have Chef Cepe here with us, he has opened over 5 restaurants in his culinary career on back of the house. And he's going to give us some insights as to how that whole process goes. Chef Cepe, thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Cepe,
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. You
real quick, I had this question.
handsome fella.
And that's, when exactly do you enter this story? Because as soon as that movie starts, he immediately starts to gather his crowd, his team. And you ask yourself, which one are you, right? When someone comes to you to say, because currently you're an executive chef, and the last restaurant that you opened as an executive chef. When someone comes to you to hire that position, which pick are you? Are you first pick, second pick, third pick, last pick? How quick or how important is the executive chef to an opening?
I think I'm the first pick because we're basically building a concept within the leadership team. We're bringing the idea and saying, this is the platform, this is what we want to create, this is what we want to do, and we want you to bring it to life. And how you do it is you're basically the brains of the operation. You're trying to figure out how many people do we need, what's our staffing, who do we need in our chef's lineup? Do we, is obviously exec chef, then it's CDC, exec sous chefs, and then you have sous chefs down that road. But that's all like part of the planning part aspect of it, right? Opening a restaurant is there's a lot of question marks even before we open, and there's still question marks after we open the restaurant because we go through a phase where it's like we dream big and we have all these ideas and all these creative outputs, and I want to do this type of dish, I want to go and do this, I want to do table side concepts for the service staff to be more involved with the with the guest. And then it's like, yeah, that's not going to work. Yeah, that's going to work. Oh no, we're going to have to revamp this dish because it's just too many steps. So I think I'm number one because I'm creating that foundation, and then as the time goes we start to build the team within that.
So that would make him Brad Pitt. What do you mean?
Rusty.
Yeah, it would make you Rusty, Brad Pitt. Because this is a character that he goes in. It's not the first person he goes to, it's the second person he goes to. The first person he goes to is to make sure that the deed can be done. You know, he talks to the inside man and make sure, can we make this happen? But you're the person that he comes in to make sure we need to assemble the team. You need to structure it. You need to administer everything below me. I'm managing the idea. You're managing that. Now, the question is, after they go to you, do you and that person go to the investor, or is the investor already there by the time that they come to you?
Investors are already there.
Yeah.
It's already been, it's usually, at least this last restaurant that I am right now currently, it was already in the build. So we were going to the final stages. They just needed a chef to create an idea that they had in mind, and we bring it to life. So that was when I came in and created the menu with the team and getting what their ideas, 250 ideas, narrowing it down to 30. So it was a lot of work, but
yeah,
we're successful.
Where you currently work, how long did it take you to build your menu?
I didn't have a lot of time because the minute I took the job, I was on my other job, and I literally had a 700 cover shift, and then I got on the plane the next day, flew in, and started creating the menu. So it was like, I would say, a solid month of a lot of R&Ding, a lot of tastings, a lot of going back to the drawing board, making this one specific dish 1,000 times, 1,000 different ways, and really like saying, okay, this works, this doesn't work, this needs more acid, this needs more salt, the plating's a little weak, we need to go refine it, how can we make this something simplistic look more elegant? So it was a lot of hitting my head on the walls, but we finally got it to a point where the food's great, both in presentation and flavor, but it is challenging, especially when you're doing it on your own.
You mentioned something very interesting. You mentioned that it was a month's time that they gave you to come in and do that. On the other experiences that you had in the past opening restaurants, did all of them were like a month for you to come in, or did some of them were like 2 months, 3 months, 4 months? What's usually the time that is expected to pull such a heist, to pull such a job?
I think it's depending on who you're working for. Some places already have some structure and they already know what's going on. They already know what their expectation, what dishes they want. Other restaurants are starting from scratch. It's like, this is the concept, this is the area we want to involve the cuisine in, but we want you to create that. We want you to grab this and take it and bring it to another life. So it all really depends on how the approach is when you first initially get hired. Do we start from the ground zero, or is there something already established on paper and we're just following that?
Wow. How far-fetched are the ideas of the people that are above you? Because when they come in, let's say that you currently work in a steakhouse and seafood group, correct? Let's say they come in and the owner or the person in charge says, I have a vision for a shrimp dish and I want it looking like this and a plate like that. And from that point, how much are you able to say, yes, no, maybe, let me figure that out? Because these people come with ridiculous ideas. This is like the super thing I want to do. How do you bring that down and give it a little bit of reality check?
Hold on. Before you answer that question, think about how Cepe back in the day would answer that question and how Cepe today would answer. You have an overbearing owner who's, unrealistic. How would younger Cepe and current Cepe deal with that situation? What is your experience?
Younger Cepe would say, the younger Cepe will say, "Hell no, we're not doing that," right? But over the years and learning in business and learning with investors and team, I learned to live in the yes and say, "Let's try it. Let's just try it." I mean, why not try it? Why do we shoot ourselves down and say no so quickly, right? It's like rather live in the yes, do it, try it. If it's achievable, do it. And if it's not, then we look at the other person and say, hell no, we're not doing this anymore.
Okay.
Or we just can't do it. We're not the capacity, or we're not capable enough to do this specific thing that you want right now currently. So I think over the years in my culinary career, I've learned to take deep breaths and just really analyze what's going on and kind of not react so quickly or into a negative, just kind of looking at the positive mindset, and just having that, like saying, okay, we'll try it, and then we just go from there.
You said something funny, and I want to put this down. This is a callback. You said shooting yourself, but the question is, if you're going to shoot yourself will you shoot yourself in the leg or in the foot, sir?
Well, if I shoot myself in the leg, I still have to come to work. And if I shoot myself in the foot, I still have to come to work. So it's still
so which one would be best? You rather
probably the foot.
I missed that one. That was a callback. I said shoot yourself in the leg. Question. Go ahead.
When you say that, basically you're saying that you grew the fuck up, is what you're trying to say. You grew up.
Basically,
you basically grew up.
The fuck up.
You had to grow up. Do you think you've grown up as a server?
Yeah.
You have?
Yeah. I stopped making. I gotta say yes, because I remember very clearly that I stopped making it about me.
Yeah.
There was a time where when I was serving, it was all about me, and it was all about like that grandiose and being like, oh, you're here to see me, and then I had my ego needed to be checked. So now it's not about me. Now it's about guests. It's about, hey, what do they need? Just make it as quick as possible. Be a little extra and get them out the way. So
I think Adrian was taken outside in the alleyway in a very dark moment. That's when he had that realization, like, I have to be better. It's like manager came to him. It's like, hey, Adrian, let me show you something real quick. It was just like a little ruffling happening.
I think I've been pretty consistent since day one. What's changed about me?
Childish, yeah.
Please let me finish. Please let me finish. I think I've been very consistent since day one. What's different is how I regard my superiors. That has changed a lot.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's big.
would you mind going a little deeper into that?
Well, it's just like, okay, a manager comes up to me when I'm 25 and they say something that I don't agree with. I would tell them to go fuck themselves. I'd be like, no, that's fucking dumb. Which is why I've had so many jobs. Now, a manager comes up to me and says something that I don't personally agree with, and I feel like I'm doing something my own way. Let's say specifically it's a case where the manager's wrong. Like they're wrong about something. Like they don't have the whole context. They don't understand what's going on. I'll just be like, okay. And then I'll do a lap around the restaurant, and then I'll call them over into the corner. I'll be like, listen, just so you know, I was doing this because of this. You came in midway through. You don't have the whole picture. I'm just letting you know. Okay. It's worked out better. It's worked out better.
I like that you did a little lap before just to calm it down.
Take a breath. Yeah.
So basically what you're trying to say, over the years, have you grown up, it's because you're not telling them in their face they're full of shit. You're making them realize and then telling them that you're full of shit.
You see, it comes around full circle.
That's what I got out of that.
Yeah,
that was my analysis.
I think the major rule is it's not what you say, it's how you say it, right? So I tell them they're full of shit, just in a professional way. That's
nice.
it.
With or without the glasses?
Oh no, the glasses got to stay
down. Like, how does that work?
Clark Kent is active during the shift.
It's got to stay.
Got to stay.
Nice.
No, something that's interesting, Chef, is what is the hierarchy in the kitchen? What is, because you are currently the executive chef, who's below you, who's below that person, and where exactly, or where can you kind of say that their duty starts and end?
Before you answer that question, I just want you to know that so far in this episode, your attitude fucking sucks. I just want you to know that.
He's a
I love
chef.
it.
Okay,
He's
go
a
ahead.
chef. Attitudes must be
Go
a
ahead,
little,
we're listening.
little difficult.
But I'm doing it with a smile, though.
Yeah,
You
right.
got to take that.
Yes.
I mean, I don't
You
got
know?
a choice. I'm looking right at you.
Appreciate that.
Nice. So it's executive chef, CDC, and then you, depending on restaurant and kitchens, you have a executive sous chef, and then you have sous chefs, depending how big the restaurant and the
Mhm.
operation is. But mainly, is executive chef oversees the restaurant and division and the concept, and does all the paperwork, all the
Mhm.
stuff that the other chefs don't want to do. And then the CDC is more operational. He's the one holding the fort down, you know. And if things are happening, he's obviously coming to the executive chef, and then the executive sous chef is the one managing the sous chefs. So he's the one reporting to the CDC and saying, "Hey, Joe Schmo is 30 minutes late again, chef. What do you want to do about it? What do we do about this situation?" You know. So that's kind of how it all works out.
Yeah.
So CDC is just overall holding down the fort as well as the exec sous, but this exec sous are managing the sous chefs as well.
You've worked with rats like that before? Yo, such and such is half an hour late again. You've worked with fucking ratas like that?
I've worked a lot with a lot of people like that.
Yeah. Which is where the next question goes is, since you are brought in, what are some of the, and you mentioned some of the things that you have to do, immediately, what are the key players that you have to bring in? When they say, okay, this is a restaurant, we want you to come in, do they already have the team in and you come in, the room is set up, you already have it, but you get to know each other? Or are you the person that's saying, okay, I need to sit down and interview X amount of people and bring and cover those bases?
Yo, when was the last time you had
I
to
think
flex on somebody, bro? When was the last time you had to flex on somebody? Like, yo, I'm Cepe in this motherfucker. Huh?
It's been, I think that was at my last job. I'm better now. I've grown up.
Oh, yeah?
I've
So
learned
if you had a
not
sign,
be
it would
that
say
way.
over 100 days since your last incident. Come on.
No, you still do it.
Yeah.
You just learned the lesson
You
that
can
you
call
got to
HR
say
right
it.
now.
You got to say it a certain way. It's how you say it. How do you talk to your staff, right?
It's how you say it.
Go ahead, answer
You know,
his question. Here.
I usually hit him with the, "Hey, let me show you what's in the walk-in real quick. I just bought this."
Mm.
And I'll just close the door and be like, "So let's talk." And then I just hit him with reality for like 35, 40 seconds. And then they realize, and I'll say, "I want you to think about what we just spoke about. We'll talk later." And then I leave and go do whatever I do. So it all depends. Yeah, I've grown up.
Yes. So those positions that you have to hire, which are some of those key positions that you have to bring in for that team? Who do you choose?
It's on it. Obviously, CDC is first because that's going to be the person that's going to be working with you creating a menu. He's going to be, obviously, he needs to know everything, right? With the food, with the recipes, food cost, operations. How do we want to set, what are our guidelines? What's going to be the whole logistical way of running this kitchen specifically? Checklist, produce list, order guides, all that. So I'm basically collabing them and creating that whole concept with them. And then within that time, CDC is involved with sous chef hiring because I feel like sous chefs always have that great relationship with the CDC. Sous chefs will only go up to exec chef when there was a bigger problem.
So what you're saying is
Yeah.
that it's kind of like sort of a pyramid kind of way. The person on top hires you, and then you hire the person that you trust to do below you, and then that person hires the person that they trust that they can do that position below them, and that's how you. Wow. And speaking of, since you mentioned that, what qualifies, or what would qualify based on your experience? What qualifies you, or what would qualify someone to do the position that you're doing as executive chef?
Yeah, who are you?
Like, what's your background? How do you get to that position?
Yeah, who are you?
I mean, you know who I am, Edwin. Please.
Please.
my whole
But for those who are watching and listening,
Said my whole
who
name.
is Eucepe Puntriano or Chef Cepe?
I think obviously when you executive chef is hired, they go through multiple interviews. It's not just culinary; it's really reading you, throwing scenarios at you. What would you do in this situation? If we were to give you this, what would happen if this scenario happened? And it kind of the way I was hired is like they were really focused on who I really was. It wasn't so much of how creative I am with the food because I had to do a tasting, but they really wanted to see, am I a people person? am I a person that can lead a team, right? Am I,
Mhm.
when there's situations happening, when shit's hitting the fan, how am I going to react to that,
Yeah.
right? Because I think that's big in a kitchen, right? I think even in front of the house, when you see your manager losing his shit, you're like, whoa, what's going on over there?
Mhm.
It's like, I don't even want to go ask them to tag this table or something. It's like, it's really, you're in the spotlight, right? It's like you're the person that they come and say, chef, I can't find the salt, and then you have to look at them and say, hey bud, it's right behind you. I told you this yesterday,
Yeah.
but it's okay. The salt's right there. And you do it with a smile, right?
Mhm.
You're not going to grab them and say, dude, it's been 5 days, the salt's never moved, why you keep asking me that? So I think the biggest thing for an exec chef is obviously how they hold the composure through all the scenarios that happens, especially with openings. Openings are, it all goes like this: you hire a lot and you see who makes it through the jungle,
You fire a
and
lot,
then
yeah.
at that point, and then you fire and you fire and you fire,
That's right.
and it's like you
Same, yeah.
you have to see who makes it or break it.
Same thing happens in
That's
the
all
front
it
of
is.
house.
Because
Yeah, I've done a couple of openings, and that is one of the key things that tells me, oh, you don't know what you're doing. Because if I go to an opening and they say, oh, we need 20 servers, then why the hell are 15 here? If you need 20, they should be 25, they should be 30. If you need X amount of people in the kitchen, because not everybody's going to make it. Some people are going to quit, some people are not, they're going to be fired.
Right.
You have to overhire because you have to be good at firing, not good at hiring.
So you
and I
obviously
think
go ahead.
Go for it.
right now, the way the culinary is going, at least from my experiences last opening, there was a lot of questions with a lot of people, and the culinary scene is not as impactful as it used to be like 10 years ago.
Hmm.
People are just looking at it as a job, but then you have those really unique cooks that are like, I want to be you one day. How do I get there? I want to work under you. And it's like, we have more of the people are looking at it as a 9 to 5 than
Mhm.
actually putting some passion into things. So I think it's more challenging now to open restaurants than ever, in my experience.
How does it make you feel when somebody says, "Oh, I want to be like you"? Makes you feel like a cool kid. Makes you feel like a
No, I
star.
tell you know what I tell them? I tell them to be better than me. I don't need you to be me, because being me takes a lot.
Ooh, how you like that,
I
sir?
like that.
That was all right.
I
So
wrote that one down
you
last
you
night.
obviously take a lot of measures to make sure the people you work with in the back of house know how to cook. So if you could test someone with one dish and that dish makes it or breaks it for them in terms of getting hired, what would that dish be?
Fish, a white fish. Just sear me a fish with the simple beurre blanc, lemon beurre blanc,
Skin?
because everybody breaks their beurre blanc. Yeah,
Skin on the fish?
skin on. Yep. I just want to see if their fish curls. I want to see if they score their fish properly,
Do you want to
if the
hear? Do you
skin's
want it
crispy
plated
or
with head
not.
and tail or fillet and deboned?
Fillet and deboned,
There you go.
to see their knife skills as well. And then the beurre blanc, because that's the difficult one. If it gets too hot,
It
she gonna
breaks.
split.
We recently had a director of operations here, and he mentioned that whenever he's interviewing modern chefs, that they don't even know their mother sauces. Is that something that you can attest to as well? The
I
cooks
have a
don't.
recognition of mother's sauces. I mean, it's yeah, it's not in my brain anymore. That's something I had to learn years ago.
Hmm. Speaking of which, did you go to culinary school?
No.
Hmm.
Do you think that is necessary for someone to do?
I think it's necessary if you want to have a degree and work in a culture of like hotels and stuff like that, because those are kind of like the requirements. But I worked with a chef for many years, and I remembered I went up to him one day as a ignorant cook that I was. I was young and I was just cracking jokes with him, and I was like, "What does it take to run this restaurant?" And then he put his phone down and he looked at me. He said, "Learn every aspect of this kitchen, and I'll make you a chef." And that's what I did. I just took the time, sacrificed a lot of time, went in early, learned things, learned the mother sauces. He gave me books. He tested me on the books. and I learned a lot, and I don't think I only learned about culinary, I learned about the business aspect of a restaurant. This is why we can't throw this scrap away. We need to make something out of it. Nothing goes in the trash. Everything stays, right? And it's like if it goes to the trash, it's because we can't absolutely not use it at all. And I'm forever grateful for that person that honestly took the time to teach me things. We bumped heads a lot throughout my career with working together, but he always had that way of saying like, I'm only showing this because I want you to be better than what you are now. So yes, culinary school, if you want to spend the 50K and be in debt for the rest of your life, that's fine. But honestly, it's like putting your head down and just really challenging yourself. Because even school, right? It's like you go to college and, Edwin been to college probably, maybe for like 2 semesters, and then he quit, which is fine.
I went
We
out with
still
a
accept
bang
him as
though.
our friend.
I went out with
finished.
a I went
I
out
bet
with a
you did.
bang.
I bet you did.
I took a
And I
break, but
know
I
you did.
finished. Finished strong.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you go to school and it's like, okay, then you get that little job and then it starts to interest you. And then boom, before you know it, you make it a career. Right. So I think that was really mainly what it was for me. It was just don't spend the money. Just do as I say.
You know
Listen
what?
to me.
What I got from that is that it also kind of matters in the point in which you tell yourself, "I can do that. I like that, and I want to make this choice." Because if you are young and you think to yourself, this is what I want to do," then a great introduction to culinary career could be going to study. But if you're already in it, and then you say to yourself, like you did, "What does it take to go up?" and then you take the challenge, then you can also do that as well. So it's not like a do or die.
Yeah.
You have to do so. It's more of the situation that you're in and what you want to get out of it. So that definitely works. It's interesting because bringing it back to the movie analogy, it tells us that at that point you were Matt Damon. The Matt Damon character was coming in and he was like the newbie. He was the son of someone. He did not know much. He had to prove a lot of himself, and everybody had to coach him and tell him, "Don't do this, don't do that." And he was like, "I want to do it." And it's like, obviously, and with time, he becomes a more polished character, like currently you're doing right now. So it's interesting that throughout that we all find ourselves, and what's the word? We find ourselves portrayed by a certain character in different parts of your life. That's why the movie can resonate with you in many ways. Now, I have a question before we move into the preparation for it. Or actually, this is part of the preparation. What is the formula of how many guests can I sit per minute or per X amount of minutes so that everything can flow properly in the kitchen? Is that based off main courses? Is that based off the timing of when they sit down to when they leave? How can a restaurant or a chef right now saying, how do I properly sit people X amount of times so that everything just flows properly? Is there a formula for that?
I don't think there's a formula for it. I think it's just reading the room, right? It starts from the front, from when the hostess says hi to when they say goodbye, and the steps of service, everything. Obviously, we all talk about it, and I think, and many people can agree to this. We talk about a formula, we talk about steps of service, we talk about the timing of steps of service, but it's never going to go that way.
No.
Never.
That table's going to sit and it's going to be like, oh yeah, it's my first time. I'm going to look at the menu. Can I get some water? And it just doesn't go the way you want it to go. And then before you know it, you don't get the order till like an hour after. And then 20 minutes later asking, hey, how long on my food? And I'm like, you just rang it in. It's been sat for an hour. What are you doing?
Is there perhaps a moment where the kitchen, how many tickets? Because maybe that's the equation. At what point do you get a certain amount of tickets that I have to go to the host stand and say, stop sitting for the next amount of X time? Like how? Like how do you find that threshold? Is it based off, I have 10 people behind my my line, or do I have 5 people behind my line? Do I have 2 people behind my line? What is how do you find that point, that pressure, that threshold?
First of all, how many seats are in your restaurant?
Yes.
Right now, currently, we're at 205.
Okay.
That's a lot.
Full staffed kitchen. How many people you got on the line?
On a busy night, I'll probably have 15.
Damn.
God
That's
damn.
with dishwashers included. It's a lot of people, but the volume.
But that's with
there.
dishwashers
So it's
included
like
as well.
Perfect example. Yeah, but perfect example, right? It's like I have to staff that way because the way the service is ran, we need the bodies. We need the people to pump the food, you know? And, you know, it's not so much how many tickets before I go to the hostess stand. We already know what's going to happen, right? This all comes to communication within the front of house and back of house. Like, hey guys, like, I know we're 300 in the books today. I'm just letting you know I'm down 2 cooks, and it looks like I'm gonna have to be on the line. So I'm gonna need one of you guys to expedite for me for the first turn.
Mm.
And you know, I think as long as that there is chemistry within front of house and back of house management, it all is gonna work itself seamless. And they know they're already anticipating what's gonna happen because the books are there.
Yeah.
It's not a lie. These people just did not randomly do a reservation.
Mm-hmm.
It's happening. It's gonna happen at 5 o'clock. What are we doing now? So at 5 o'clock, we don't feel that pressure and that anxiety.
Your style, your style of dining, is it like formal, like courses, or are you like family style? As it's ready, it leaves the kitchen.
No, it's coursed out.
Course style.
Nice.
Yeah.
Fancy, huh?
We do
That
welcome.
is fancy.
We do welcome stuff. Yeah, we do a
Fancy.
lot of cool, unique things. A little surprises in between. So yeah, it's a very unique concept, but with the volume that we do and the plating that we do here is super intense.
Hmm.
So it feels like 700 covers, but we did 320, you
Hmm.
know, and it's great. I think it's really fun to see the cooks kind of seeing all the dishes you create and bringing it up to life, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes they even catch themselves, sorry, chef, I'm not bringing that chicken up. It's wrong. Sauce is broken. Sorry. You know, it's like, oh, okay. Caught that. I
So
like
proud
that.
of you.
Look at that. Now,
I
in
won't
talking
take it to
about
the
the
walk-in this time.
preparation of this restaurant to open, right? This is the moment where we are already staffed. We got everybody in there, and we're trying to, we're butting heads and trying to figure out everything for the opening. When you create a dish, or one of your staff creates a dish, who's the first person to taste it in order for it to pass to be approved, and who's the last person that tastes it that says, yes, this is greenlit?
So we go through a sequence of, like, if my exec Sue comes to me, he's like, hey, I have this fish idea. I'll say, go. And usually he'll set a time and I'll taste it with him, and then I'll let him know, like, needs more acid, needs more salt, the sauce needs a little more tightening, whatever. And kind of like involve myself with, in my brain, what the concept is at the moment, and trying to ensure that that is consistent on the menu.
Mm.
You know, if it's just a fish with a sauce on the plate, I'm like, no, that's not happening. It's good, but let's think about how can we deconstruct this dish and make it a little bit more finer. What can we do? Like, let's push the envelope. And then after that, once we feel good about it, then we present it to GM, and then we, bring out the cogs, obviously the food cost on it, making sure that it's not a 12-step dish, it's a 3-step dish. Because there's so many factors. I always tell my chefs, like, it's great to be creative and like doing some really cool fun stuff, but remember, you're not plating them. The cooks are. Don't ever put them in a weird situation where they have to do 12 steps for a dish, because what's going to happen is they're going to walk out, or they're going to be like, I want more money, which usually ends up them walking out.
Mm.
But it's really, there's so many factors when you create dishes now. You have to think about those things too, because we're not a 40-seat restaurant, right? If 40-seat restaurant, do whatever you want, do 30 steps, I don't care, right? And you pace out the service. But when you're doing this type of volume, it all depends on the restaurant. You're not going to be able to produce consistently from start to finish all the way that specific dish. So you always have to think that in the back of your head. And I always remind them, like, think about what we go through right now with the menu. We're adding something else. So it's all a factor.
Is your favorite dish on your menu your dish, or is it someone else's?
Most of the dishes have been created by myself and my CDC. So it's a little bit of collab of both.
Hmm.
Sides, I just did this tuna entree dish. So I did like a kind of like a marbled dish with a lot of umami flavor.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really cool, unique. So yeah, there's a lot of things that I created.
What, like aged tuna?
Perhaps.
What are some challenges that might cause the restaurant opening to delay because of something regarding the kitchen? Because we've been in front of the house and it's always like permits this, it's something so we can the license for alcohol. There are certain things at front of the house, and we'll definitely do an episode soon about what causes a restaurant or restaurant opening in front of the house. But back of the house, what are some of the things that you as an executive chef, you have to sit with the GM and say, we need to push the opening a week back, or we need to we need to push it 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Like, it's not going to happen. Like, what's that thing that if you don't have that tool, I'm sorry, guys, we got to push it back. But from the kitchen.
Same thing. It's just permits, health inspecting, liquor license. All those factors are connected with our concept of opening too.
But which ones are which ones are your responsibilities? Which ones are like the ones that this was on me, and unfortunately it just, because of the permit, it's not go through. Like the health one is definitely yours. They got to come in. You got to check the hoods, make sure that those are the grease trap, which I believe the grease trap is the one that takes the longest to check here in Miami.
Yes, yeah. And then the fire marshal. The fire marshal is a big one because they check everything and they'll point everything out. And they also have the upper hand. They might delay themselves too. They might tell you they're coming Wednesday for sure to finalize, and then it won't be there till next Monday. So it just all kind of plays with the city and where you're working with and how far along in construction. And I think every restaurant goes through setbacks. I've never encountered or experienced any restaurant opening on the day they say they open.
It just doesn't happen.
Usually before or after.
Yeah,
it doesn't happen.
Just doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's why on the movie Ocean's 11, the thing that drew the most is when they are like, oh, we have to do it on the boxing night. That's when we're going to do it. And then suddenly they don't have a tool and they have to go somewhere else and steal that tool in order for them to bring it back. Because sometimes even restaurants borrow alcohol licenses, and they will open incomplete because this is the only way that you can actually pull that thing off. Is there, based off of that, is there something that you had to go get somewhere else or deal with in your past restaurant openings because otherwise you were not going to be able to open? Like, was a vendor that couldn't come through and then you have to go and get something else from someone else, or did you have to move your contacts in order to gain something and be able to open? Like some restaurants open and they don't have fish, or we open and we don't have seafood, or we don't have
napkins
steaks,
or ice or whatever.
Or what parts are from the kitchen that can definitely make that a delay that you have to pivot?
Just the food, honestly. Like looking at the menu, something you might order that they say, hey, it's a week lead time, and you ordered it a month ago, and then you get a text like, sorry, dude, it's not coming in today. And you're like, I need it. And then that's when you call in favors. You call some chefs like, hey, you have this, do you have this? And then usually they'll look out, and then you can pivot, right? It's all about pivoting at the time and moment. And this goes back to that example of like leadership and exec chef. It's like, stay calm, figure out a solution, and let's just keep going and moving. Openings are the most challenging part of anything because you will run into a lot of problems very quickly. And it's not one problem today. It's going to be like 10 problems before you even get your cup of coffee. 2 cooks quit. Dishwasher's not showing up today. Product didn't show up today. We have 120 in the books today. It was supposed to be 60, but we doubled up. And then you're like, okay, well, let's see what we can do. It's just being calm, just looking at the situation and trying to get the positive out of things.
You're really becoming an impressive individual, huh?
I've grown up. I told you this.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to get a shirt. I'm going to say I've grown up.
Yeah.
I'll get you one too. You can wear it one day though, not today.
I was about to say, that's not a very grown up thing to do.
Now, after we set it up and it's all as ready as it can be, and we're preparing to do that family and friends, because every restaurant before they open, they have to do a staging. They do a family and friends. They do this so that serve staff can get used to, how the amount of time that people are going to be walking in, how we sit them down, how we greet them, where things are, et cetera, et cetera. But what are some of the challenges that the kitchen faces at that point? Because I believe that's one of the few times where I think it's one of the very few times that a ticket comes on the back through the printer and it says you have to do X amount of that dish. Because they probably done 1 or 2 of the same, but this is the first time that they actually have to do multiples and constantly do that. And that's the first challenge that they have to overcome. Can you walk us through some of those? As to some of the types, can you walk us through some of the challenges that you face on friends and family?
Friends and family, it's more of like, we know you're gonna suck, but we're here for you. We're supporting you.
Exactly.
We care. We want you to succeed. But the salmon was raw.
That's why it's free.
You know.
That's why it's free.
And that's something that people need to understand. If you go to a friends and family, if you're invited to a friends and family, the opinions that you have, and if you want to share them constructively with the chef or the staff. But going outside and doing reviews and telling people that it sucks, fuck you. Of course, it's not ready.
Yeah.
That's why you were invited to friends and family, for us to try and for you to try and give us your feedback, not everybody else.
Yeah, and I think, with friends and family, you kind of open your eyes to seeing this is what the future is going to hold, right? It's like, all right, you do 2 seatings, it's not as big, but you're seeing things, right? You started to analyze now. Now you're looking at it at like a 30,000 feet kind of view. Okay, this dish is not working on this station. We need to move it to another station. This dish is just overcomplicated. Let's take it off the menu for now. We'll revisit, The flow of service is not happening. The timing is not there from what we spoke about. Let's talk about that, before we open the restaurant. Should we pivot and go a different route? I think there's more questions coming out of it because now we're live, right? Front of house goes through all that training. They sit down and just look at a screen and they're like, yes, not do that. Yep, don't do that. Okay, dress this. Yep, be on time. Yep. This is the menu. Yep. Oh, it tastes good. Yep. Thank you, chef. Any questions? Nobody says anything. And then you go to the soft opening, right? And then you're like, hey, chef, should we get a temperature on the salmon? I don't know. What did I tell you 3 days ago? But I have to be nice. I have to say, yeah, you should get it. You should get a temperature, and you start to learn, right? And it's really more of like watching and seeing what's going on. Every kitchen that's built, any restaurant that's built, it's never going to be built the way you want it to be. Things are going to happen. Construction is going to happen. This wall probably was not in the blueprint, but for some reason, Enrique put it up. And now we have to live with the wall being there. So now instead of going through that wall, we got to go around the wall to go to the kitchen, There's just a lot of things where I think the biggest thing is pivoting very quickly, especially when you're trying to open a restaurant, when there's so much money on the line. Because money's flowing regardless. The restaurant's not open, but the money's still coming in. We're still paying for the training. We're still paying the managers. We're still paying, the media. We're still paying for the food, for all this stuff, the machinery, everything, and we got to open. We got to get money flowing back. And I think that is the most challenging part of the opening.
You ever see that clip on YouTube? Yeah, it's like an English kitchen. It's and this girl, I think they call her Kiki. She's like, the guy wants an eggless omelet or something like that.
Oh yeah,
you've seen this one? And she asked the nice man if he wants it with whole eggs or egg whites. And then she's like an idiot. So, are there any servers who you think are just really fucking dumb? And you wonder, how do they get their job?
Yeah, I just keep those comments to myself, to be honest.
So that means yes.
Thank you.
That means yes. Not at your current job, just a previous job, just from your experience.
No, I'm just saying, like in my career, there's been questions from certain people, like, and I still remember it to this day, and I'm like, wow, they literally gave you a job. That's crazy. But
I'm gonna be the devil's advocate because you once were a server, weren't you? Obviously, the things that you do and are your set of skills are a completely different set of the ones that we have. Obviously, so in certain things doesn't help in front of the house, or may not. They could add, but at the same time, are those really the skills that you need? Moving into after we do the soft opening and we finally open, when restaurants open, they do this thing and they call hold the door or hold the books. And that's when the restaurant opens and you say, well, you have 205 seats. Why don't you sit at 205 seats? Well, because currently we're not polished enough to be able to do that. And that could be both front of the house, because the way that the flow, the charts, the reservations, your staff members suck. But on back of the house, what are some of the things that could also be pushing that slightly back? Until what point do you, as the executive chef, go to the GM and say, back of the house is ready, flood the books or open it up? Do you have that call? Who makes that call?
Yeah, I mean, we obviously analyze it after, we do the trial runs with the staff within themselves, that little dry mock service with like no food, just empty plates and stuff. And then at that point, you kind of see, okay, well, what's our lineup? Do we have enough people? Does front of house have enough people? And then we start saying, okay, let's just go with 100 this week. Let's see how it works out, for the next couple of days. And then we sit again and it's like, okay, we're getting better. Let's try it one more week, another 100, and then hopefully by that third week, we're like, okay, now we can open. We're fully staffed. We're in a good space and we're ready to go. But it's by service, honestly. It's like, it all depends, because things might happen too, some of the servers might quit and be like, this is crazy. I can't do this. Like, I finally realized that I'm not a server. I'm going to go apply and work for Chef Cepe. It makes sense back there, and then they're back there and then, they're having fun. Just kidding. But yeah, that's the way we've done it. I've done it. I think that's just the better way. We have to think about the employees as well. We never want to overwhelm them. We don't want to, it's like selling them a car at the beginning, right? You see the nice shiny restaurant and all the beautiful silverware that's never been touched, that needs to be polished, and all the glassware and this and that. And then it's like reality sets in, right? And it's like, whoa, this is not what it was supposed to be in their minds. And then like they make the decision. Either they pivot and they leave, or they stay and they grow,
Opening a restaurant, it's always it's a big opportunity for those who are seeking it, right? Because if you have a good job, then I've been in situations where people ask me, oh, hey, you want to come, this brand new restaurant's opening up. They got Michelin stars, or they're known in X state. They're coming here. They're going to be huge. Depending on where the position you are, most of the time I say, well, I'll wait for them to open. I'll wait for them to figure it out. And then maybe I'll come in.
Right.
Because the reality is that when you open a restaurant, and I'm going to ask this to you, because you opened 5 restaurants so far, and were any of them here in Miami, Chef? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what would you say is the average of the time span that it takes to open a restaurant, from conception to reality to opening its doors? And also keeping in mind that most of the times it never opens the day you say. You might say, we open on July 1st. Never. I've never seen a restaurant say, we open on July 1st and opens on July 1st.
It doesn't happen.
I've never seen that. So what's the time frame around, what would you say in your experience?
Maybe 6 to 8 months.
6 to 8 months?
I think the first 6 months is where a lot of turnover happens. A lot of things change, systems, layouts, concept, maybe cuisine, whatever, menu. And then after those 6 months, everything's starting to flow. Then the 8-month mark hits and it's like, okay, things are getting better. People seem to be more concrete. They seem that this is going to be their home, their job for a while. And then that year, it's like, okay, we're feeling good. We have some things that we need to work on, but the first 6 to 8 months is really the timing that I say. But usually after the first year, really kind of look at it and say, okay, what's next year? How's it going to look then? Because every restaurant's going to be busy when they open. Everybody wants to go and try it out.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to see what the hype is, because everybody's going to talk about it.
Yeah, that's why openings are great. You know that you're going to have a good season because the intention and the attention is there. So people are like, I want to go check it out. But again, it's tough because you're in that position where you say, I'm going to check it out after they open. But it's also a great opportunity for you to create seniority. If you have a job where you're not necessarily a server, you're an assistant server, you're a runner, or you're a bar back, and you want to move into that main position of being the server, being the chef, opening a restaurant is a great opportunity for you to show your skills and show that you have the determination, the drive for you to say, this is what I want, and I'm going to make it happen. And that's the best position, the best way for you to position yourself in a seniority position.
Yeah.
It's opening a restaurant. So there's pros and cons to both opening a restaurant and not. And this goes into the next question because I've seen.
Do you mind if I say something?
Oh, please go ahead, sir. I apologize.
I'm just wondering how long I'm going to fucking sit here and not say a word.
Go ahead.
I would say the only reason you should open a restaurant is because you don't have a job. That's it. Don't open a restaurant because of the seniority. Yeah, you open a restaurant, you have seniority, and seniority is a real thing in this business.
Yes.
As diplomatic or as professional as restaurants want to say they are, if you have seniority at that restaurant, your life is going to be a lot easier than a new person. But it's a shit show. It might be the new restaurant, it might be popular, but it'll be unnecessarily stressful. Your food will never be as good when you first open as when you're open for like a year, 6-7 months. So the only reason you should go open a restaurant is because you don't have a job or you hate your current job. That's it. But don't go to a restaurant to open it to say, I want to open it. That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
Well, that's his opinion. and going into which, it's interesting that I have this, not like a theory, but observation that and this is more front of the house, and I ask you this if it happens in the back of the house, it's very common that the manager or the general manager or director of operations who started the whole concept of creating the restaurant usually never finishes it, or once they open, they leave, because it's very common in Miami to have managers who are good at opening restaurants and managers who are good at running restaurants. But having management that are good at both, it's not the law. It's not what's common here in Miami. So in the kitchen, is that also common? Is it common for you to, go in, do an opening, and there's an executive chef or someone like a CDC, and the restaurant open, and that person's not going to be there?
It's tough to ask him questions, bro. He's being too diplomatic. I wanted to ask him a question about Coke before, but I know he's not going to answer it, so whatever.
He's like, wait, Coke?
I know you're not going to answer it. No, you're not going to answer it.
But is that a thing where people very commonly are good at opening but not good at running the restaurant in the back of the kitchen?
Yeah, I think the same thing applies. I think we've been sold a dream, a concept, an idea, something that drives us, that motivates us, and then usually, in their time, they start to realize, like, do I want to stay here? Is this my home? Is this my restaurant that I want to be running with the chef? And they make the decisions, or other opportunities come in and say, oh, we have another restaurant opening, and they're, like you say, they're good at it. And they're like, well, I think I've done my share of what I wanted to do here. Now it's time to jump the ship. So yeah, it kind of applies the same. Nothing's forever. I always say everything has their time.
Right. So what's the dream for you, man?
Yeah.
What's the dream?
My dream is to instill and enlighten the new era of cooks.
Oh my God.
Giving them opportunity.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up. That's not the dream, bro. What is it that you want to do?
You want to make your own restaurant, business?
I want to make sure the people who what's the dream? What do you want to do?
Just running a successful restaurant and being known for it. That's it. I don't really want too much. I got what I want. I'm happy where I'm at.
Okay.
And I'm grateful for what I have today. After so many years of working so hard, that I'm in a position now where I feel good. And, I'm always hungry. I'm always trying to do more, and, we'll see where it takes me.
Now, knowing that you have 5 restaurants opening on your belt, successful restaurant openings, I may add, someone comes to you and says, I need the right person for this team. I need the person that's going to, execute that plan. And they come to you and they offer you a fuck ton of money. They say, I want you to open my restaurant. Would you be willing to put it down and go through it again? I mean, you don't have 5 times. Is this something that you're like passionate about because you get to teach, you get to train the staff, teach them how to do things and be polite with them? Is that something that you see yourself putting yourself through again? Or you say, nah, those days are gone?
It's funny you say that because, at this new restaurant, that's kind of the way I took it, is wasn't really much for the money. I mean, obviously, it's always going to be about money. Nobody can sit there and say they're going to do it because they love it.
Yeah, nobody
We
works
do
for
love
free.
it.
Thank you.
But I think this
First time you've been
new
honest
restaurant that
the
I'm
entire
in,
time.
yeah, no, I've been very honest with you before we started this.
Yeah.
I said some very truthful things.
Mm.
We'll play it back though.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's really more the adrenaline. You know, openings are fun. It's a lot of stuff happening, but I think it's the adrenaline for me to open restaurants. So if an opportunity comes, yeah, I probably will think about it, but I'll have to really think about it, like really, really think about it. Because, you know, jumping ship, it's not who I am. I like to stay where I'm at for a long time. Because you never know, might be more opportunities there. Might be more openings for that concept somewhere else, you know, and why jump ship? Because somebody's asking and giving me more money.
You know,
the money's always going to be around.
that reminds me of when they're gathering their staff, you know, the people for the heist, and go to Saul, the eldest one in the team, and the guy says to him, "Are you gonna be a gentleman and at least tell me what the job is?" And when they give him the paper and he opens it up and he sees the job and he sees the pay, he does the ooh. Ooh, like his heart palpitates a little bit, and then he joins the team. So it's funny that you say, well, you know, I feel like I'm good where I'm at. But when they give you that envelope and they say, we want you to be a part of the team, you might be like, where are we moving now? Yeah. You know, where am I going to live now?
Yeah.
Where am I taking the kids?
We'll see.
Do you have any questions for us?
Yes, chef. We're doing last call.
I already know a little bit about Adrian's hair. So we're going to go right into you.
Okay, I'm ready.
Are you happy right now?
Very.
Because I haven't seen you smile. I don't see it.
Well, you don't
That's your smile?
You don't make me happy, but I'm happy.
So that's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
You mean, am I happy sitting down in this chair talking to you? Yes.
You should be thrilled. You should be thrilled.
Well, you know, it's all about developing.
Veneers.
It's all about developing a good poker face.
Edwin once said on the show that when people ask him, "Oh, why don't you smile?" he says to them, "This is serious business. Serious business."
You know, that happened to me the other day. I had a table. I didn't like their vibe. They were like really loud, and the lady was like, "Oh, why don't you smile some more? Why don't you smile?" And I said, "Let me get you another server. I'll be back." And I got her another server. I told my coworker, I was like, "Yo, I'm not going back to that table." Do you have another question? Or was that it?
No, that's all I got.
Right.
I know you got a round of questions for me, do you?
For you? No. I mean, I got questions for you, but you're not going to answer them, bro. People love.
Are you like the screen filler? Is that what's happening here? So Adrian does most of the talking. You just sit there and look at me like this. Is that what happens in all the shows?
Well, I've tried my best to be polite, but before the show, I shared with Adrian that I really never liked you, so I had to really do my best to sit here and be professional. But that was when you first started. But then when I saw you, and I saw how cute you are, I said, "Wow, you know what? This is all going to work out."
Yeah, you see, that's professionalism right there. That's growth. That's growth.
Growth right there.
That's growth right there.
Growth.
That's definitely growth.
You know, when it's all
But
said
you
and
have to think about it.
you know, I gotta say, when it's all said and done, it feels really good after you finally open those doors and people walk in, and even though it was chaos, you know, we had to pivot at times. We couldn't find things. Guests got upset for whatever little reason. After that first shift is done, man, that feels good. Like, I don't know about you, but
You mean
feels good.
like the first shift of like friends and family?
No. After you first open and day one goes, and then after we close and we clean everything up and everybody's having that first beer or a glass of wine or the shots, because come on, you got to do it. It's just after an opening, fuck. Man, that feels good. That does feel good.
Yeah.
To see it
feel
going.
good. It does feel good.
Yeah, it feels good. It's like a notch in your belt, man. Definitely does.
It's whatever.
Edwin goes to the walk-in and cries.
It's whatever.
He sheds some tears.
It's whatever, guys.
He does it in the freezer so he can dry up fast. I
Gentlemen?
get it.
It's cooler in there.
Gentlemen, last call.
It's okay to show your emotions, Edwin. It's okay to show your emotions.
There you go.
You know, I never thought about
Part of
that.
growth.
I never thought about that until right now. I like how when you're speaking specifically to me, you get a little closer to the camera. I feel really connected to
Yeah,
you.
because I want you to see. Yeah, because I want.
Is that when you're playing video games and you know things are getting serious, you do the
You lean forward
you lean forward
with the controller. Yeah.
That's
I see that.
You see, he's taking you seriously.
Look at that. Look at that eye contact. I know he's looking at me. He's not looking at you. I can tell.
Chef, thank you so much for joining us.
I definitely got to go to Miami and hang out with you guys.
You got to come too, bro.
Make a trip over there.
You got to come too.
Yeah, I gotta go to Miami soon, so I'll definitely let you guys know.
I think
that's why maybe you can join us. You never know.
I think before then we should go check him out. Go check his restaurant out.
There you go. Maybe we'll be Chef Cepe.
If they let you leave, just make sure you're okay to get out of here. Okay.
Got to get my permission slip.
Sure
Yeah, you're right.
Make sure your chaperone Adrian's with you at all times. We don't need you to lose yourself when you're around.
He needs a balance.
Yeah. Should be a really good. Should be an interesting dinner.
Gentlemen?
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you for joining us, Chef. I'm going to be closing it up.
Cepe, believe it or not,
you guys.
I'm very thankful too that you made time for us. Thank you so much.
Oh.
For sure.
There you go. Something that we didn't mention that I want to mention real quick is we didn't talk about who we would be in the Ocean's 11 restaurant opening.
I know who I am.
Who are you?
I'm Casey Affleck's character. He's one of the two twins. I had to look up the cast.
You know what's funny? I thought Virgil. I thought that we both would be the twins, but I thought I'll be Casey Affleck because I'll be the one that's technical and you're just the asshole.
I'll be Varsity Blues.
Because at first I thought I'd be the guy that was with the computers and stuff, but I was like, no, we're just the smoke and mirrors guys. With the two, because they were doing everything. They were like the security guys. They were the ones drawing the attention. Everybody was looking at them instead of looking at what's going on. That's who the servers are. We're the ones that you're looking at and thinking, oh, everything is well. Oh, look at them doing a show. Oh, they're fighting. Oh my God! But you don't know what's going on behind. You don't know we're stealing from you. You don't know we're blowing you up. You don't know what's going on. We're smoke and mirrors.
You thought you were Livingston, the computer geek.
Yes,
but we're the twins.
We're the twins. Correct. Exactly.
The Malloy twins. They're called. Virgil is Casey Affleck, and Turk is the other guy, Scott Kahn. I believe his name is.
There you go. I had to close with that. Perfect. Now, gentlemen, let's drop the check. Now, as you can see, opening up a restaurant is like pulling the heist of a century. And if you want to do it, you got to do it right. Means that you need the key players to get things going on the way you want. Because otherwise, when it comes time to pivoting, the challenges that are going to come between, you're just going to burn out. So better be prepared, hire the right people, and make sure to put your money where your mouth is. Thank you for listening.
Take care, everybody.
Don't forget to like, share, subscribe.